viewers for another scintillating episode of the Dekho Apna Desh webinar series. Today, we'll take you to one of the sweetest parts of the country, the Sikkim-Bengal region. And today's webinar is titled From Mountains to Mangroves, a journey of 1,000 kilometers. Essentially, it'll be a photo journey that will take you across the entire state of West Bengal, uh, all the way to Sikkim. And we'll come across both the natural endowments and the cultural heritage, the intangible and tangible cultural heritage of the region. Uh, Today's presenter, we have with us Mr. Debjit Datta. Mr. Datta is the founder and the CEO of Impression Tourism Services, which is a responsible DMC and a B2B travel supplier for Eastern South Asia, offering innovative travel ideas crafted by local experts across the East and the Northeast India, along with sub-Himalayan eastern neighbors of Bhutan and Bangladesh. A well-known tourism industry expert and orator, Mr. Datta is also associated with a lot of skill development activities and also community tourism initiatives in West Bengal, and he represents the IATO and ADTOI as state chairman along with some other trade bodies in the region. So I'm sure you'll enjoy this beautiful presentation. I'll hand it over to Mr. Debjit Datta now. Mr. Datta, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chaudhary. Good morning and welcome back again to the 85th episode of Dekho Apna Desh. And this time we are looking east. As Mr. Chaudhary has given my introduction, I will start with a small introductory note about.
Welcome to Impression Tourism Services. Come, discover the best of Eastern India with us and explore 1,000 kilometers journey from mountains to mangroves.
So it's been 20 years in selling experiences, handcrafted experiences with amazing stories across Eastern South Asia and the sub-Himalayan eastern neighbors of Bhutan and Bangladesh. Around 12 years back, when I first started exploring new business opportunities beyond the international borders, I have realized that the conventional marketing techniques are actually not working for me when I was trying to sell this regional or the regional products. Because India at that time was all around the Taj Mahal and maximum up to the backwaters of Kerala. This is primarily because of lack of regional destination branding. So it was actually time for me to be a little innovative and think out of the box and create our own positioning statement that was kind of an adventure for a small company like us. So I started working on those on a long-term image building brand campaign, and then create our own positioning statement. And then I realized that is actually diversity is the name of the game when I was talking about stretch of 1,000 kilometer stretch of land right from the mountains of Sikkim to the Bay of Bengal and Sundarbans. So from mountains to mangrove, this stretch of 1,000 kilometers offers a huge, experiences, world heritage sites, and of course, two unique selling points, Himalayas and the Ganges, because all over the world, if you go and speak about Himalayas or Ganges, people immediately know what we are talking about. I have been a shutterbug, and I have always believed that, a picture says 1,000 words. And that was the idea to inspire me to create this photo journey, which is actually a 1,000 kilometers journey from the mountains of Himalayas to the mangroves of Sundarbans, showcasing the amazing diversity that appears in every 100 kilometers. Now, most of the photographs that we see is actually, my photographs, and some of the photographs I've used from my, collection. And there's a pointer in the map which actually, tells you where exactly you are traveling with me without even looking at the Google Maps. Initially, I've started I have printed this entire photographs in a form of the postcards. I have this postcard and we have a quiz today, and then whoever gives the correct answer, I will promise you to send you a copy of this postcard. And of course, I have selected an very interesting handicraft from Bengal, this owl. This is a 300 years old tradition, and that actually is a storytelling owl for my photo journey. So let's start our journey, starting from the Himalayas, 28,000 feet above sea level. This is the third highest peak in the world and highest in India, and this is Mount Kanchenjunga. And from entire region, from entire part of Darjeeling Hills and Sikkim, you get, this is the most interesting and the biggest attraction across the region. Uh, Sikkim, talking about Sikkim, Sikkim is mostly famous for its natural beauty and orchids. There are 108 orchids available in Sikkim, and Sikkim is now the highest orchid producing state in the country. So visiting Sikkim, of course, you can go and explore valleys and flowers, and of course the orchid sanctuary. You can even have an orchid sanctuary tours, and like Singba Redodendron Sanctuary. The sanctuaries are very interesting here. This is a wildlife sanctuary which is above 12,000 feet to 14,000 feet. We have another wildlife sanctuary which is floating in the northeastern part, but I will speak to you about that in some other time. Buddhism is another interesting experience. Buddhism has been brought here by Guru Padmasambhava more than 400 years ago. It is one of the among the two major sects of Buddhism across the globe, and it is primarily, its influence are there in the South and Southeast Asia. Almost 53% Buddhists are actually the practitioners. So we have a lot of monasteries all across this Darjeeling Hills and Sikkim, and each monastery comes along with its own culture, people, and the lifestyle and interesting stories. And for example, this is Remendu Monastery. It's in a village called Remendu, which is almost about 10 kilometers from the Rumtek Monastery, which is again 30 kilometers from the Gangtok city. Now, this Remendu is a Lepcha village, and Lepchas are the aborigines of Sikkim. It's not only the monastery, but the people and the people life and culture all across the village. So you start a walk from the monastery, you see the traditional Lepcha huts, the plantations, and of course you enjoy a Lepcha lunch, and then you can also even see some Lepcha cultural activity. So very interesting the very interesting experience in the monasteries all across this region. Homestays, of course, this is a 185 years old heritage homestay in the western part of Sikkim called Yongsam Farmhouse. We have hundreds of such interesting homestays all across the region. In fact, homestays are one of the most interesting alternative accommodations that coming up in the last couple of years. Recently, Ministry of Tourism, Government of India, India Tourism Calcutta, they organize a skill development program for the homestay operators, and there have been 700 homestay operators who actually register. So you can understand the numbers. I think Bengal and Sikkim perhaps is having the highest number of homestays that exist in this part of the world. Coming down to the highest point in Bengal, Sandarfu, these are actually Land Rovers, and almost 20%. These are, Land Rovers are actually British off-road vehicle, and this is Series 1, which was actually built during 1948 and 1950s. And 25% of such Land Rovers that exist in Darjeeling Himalayas, and that is exactly, yes, that is surprising, I know, but yes, those Land Rovers are actually, you can have a jeep safari, and this is an unique heritage that Darjeeling Himalaya is having, and we are actually, you can have an experience, jeep safari in the Himalaya with this Land Rovers. Tea country, as you know, tea plantation tourism is kind of relatively new. Tea history started around 1849 with the British East India Company, the first tea garden started. And today, India falls amongst the largest tea producers in the world. And as I've told you, plantation tourism is coming up like anything. We have colonial bungalows all across that region. And you can actually stay in a bungalow, visit the plantation, visit the factory, take part in the tea tasting session. We have a very interesting book that has been published recently by Intac and West Bengal Tourism. It's called the Bada Bungalows of North Bengal, and it has got the detail of all the tea gardens that exist in that part of the world. So very interesting experience, not only the tea processing and plantation, but also staying in a colonial bungalow. This picture has been provided by Husna Tara Prakash of Glenman Tea Estate. It's an amazing tea garden bungalow that is there near Darjeeling. Uh, Trekking in Himalayas. I don't know how many of you actually know that we have wonderful trekking routes. In Darjeeling Himalayas and in Sikkim also. Sikkim, this is kind of for the advanced trekkers, and of course Darjeeling Himalayas Sandakphu, which is basically for the beginners. Interesting, takes you to the highest point of Bengal, Sandakphu. I have a small video, courtesy of West Bengal Tourism, to play to give you an idea about the kind of route that we have. We normally operate say 5 to 9 days trekking program in that part of the world. And this is the Land Rover I was talking about. We have almost about 30 to 60 So this is Eastern Himalaya, my friend. Amazing natural beauty that you can explore. The Darjeeling Mail, Darjeeling Himalayan Railway. This is heritage on wheels since 1878, initiated by a British engineer, Ashley Aden. Primarily, Darjeeling was the summer capital of India. So to connect between Siliguri to Darjeeling, this toy train has been introduced. So this is now an UNESCO World Heritage. As I've told you, there are two UNESCO World Heritages in this stretch of 1,000 kilometers. One is this Darjeeling Himalayan Railways, another is this Sundarbans, and lot of deserving heritages like this Land Rover Series 1 Land Rover, and which is there in Sandakphu near Darjeeling. So toy train is not just to take a joyride. No, I think there are a lot of activities that we offer along with this heritage. Visit the workshop in Tindoria or visit the museum, know more about the stories behind this wonderful machine, and then take a ride, and you will have a memorable experience, I can guarantee. Coming down to the sub-Himalayan parts of Bengal, we have 8 wildlife reserves and national park. This part of the world called Duars, and primarily because of the numerous road connection between the neighboring country of Bhutan. So Duars. So Duars offers an amazing diversity of flora and fauna. This is one on rhino. You will be surprised to know that 40% of the wildlife sanctuaries are actually in Eastern India. And that's an amazing fact. Even Eastern India is having the highest concentration of tribal communities. There are 685 tribal communities that exist in Eastern India. What an amazing, land to explore. The wildlife sanctuary comes along with a lot of activity, wildlife activity, but as a responsible tour operator, we do avoid any activities with the animals involving an animal such as the elephant safari. We really don't promote that. So wildlife, nature, this region is full of wildlife and nature, and some of the national parks are very interesting. For example, I have already spoke about this orchid sanctuary. That's the national park above 12,000 feet. In Manipur, there's a national park called Kaibul Lamsao National Park. That is the world's only floating national park. You will not get a floating national park anywhere else in the world. So that is 40 square kilometers of grassland, which is floating on a lake. And we have Sundarban at the end of this presentation, which is the world's largest delta of mangrove forest, again, a World Heritage Site. So I'm coming to that. Coming to Ganges, actually, If you're coming to Bengal, you can explore the rich heritage and the culture along with the bank of Holy River Ganges, which flows with the taste of time and takes you back to 1,000 years and gives you an experience of a lifetime. Bengal has got a history of 1,000 years, and this mighty river Ganges is actually the lifeline of Bengal, lifeline of this region. Actually, Eastern India is primarily influenced by three major rivers: Ganges, Brahmaputra, and Tista. If you go to Google Map or see and explore, and the entire, it's a riverine region, and the entire region is blessed with thousands of other rivers, and rivers are the lifeline. If you really want to explore river life, you actually have to come to Eastern India on this part of the Eastern South Asia, or at least Bengal. So Bengal history and heritage, everything is with this river Ganges. The South Bengal is where this mighty river enters into the state. One part goes to Bangladesh, and other parts to Calcutta, to the Bay of Bengal. And this is, it's a place called, near Malda, which is where near where this Ganges, enters into the makes our way into the state. This is the 13th century ancient capital of Bengal, and this part, this Bengal heritage zone, is so amazing and so beautiful. There's a lot of architectural heritage and cultural heritage. And I have a video, small video to show, just to have a look that how amazing this part of the world is, that unfortunately majority of the industry and the travelers are actually not aware about this region. So have a look at this video and then understand that what that is there to experience. This is one of the famous, heritage stays in Central Bengal. I'll speak about this. So isn't that amazing, viewers? Murshidabad, this is the Hajarduari Palace in Murshidabad, which is the Palace of Thousand Doors, and which was the last independent capital of ancient Bengal before the British took over. So this is an amazing area to explore with the treasure of heritage and architectural heritage and cultural heritage. And if you think that the heritage stays only exist in the northern part of India, you're absolutely wrong. We have a lot of these palaces which has been now been converted to heritage stays. This is Badi Koti in Murshidabad. In the video you have seen the Kashim Bazar Rajbadi. We have the Rajbadi Bawali, famous Rajbadi Bawali, very close from Calcutta. It's around 30 kilometers from Calcutta. A lovely property. So heritage stays. If you are coming to Bengal, exploring Bengal, you must stay in a palace like this. In fact, Bengal is full of such Rajwadis and palaces. I have a list of 53 such palaces spread all across the state. And this palace, we are trying to, encourage these people to be a part of the tourism industry and come and, make accommodation for the tourists. So this is the heritage stays in Bengal, the Bengal Heritage Zone. Now, this is another interesting city in the central Bengal. It's got the city of temples. It's in Vishnupur, this has got 30 terracotta temples built in 14th century by Malla dynasty, and there are 30 of them. Vishnupur is a wonderful small city with a temple like this, with a terracotta temple in every corner of the city. So it's an amazing place, very close to Calcutta, and it's an amazing, city to explore. We have wonderful hotel in Vishnupur like Annapurna Hotel, and you can visit villages like Bigna, were famous for bell metal work, or like Pachmura were actually famous for terracotta, and of course the Vishnupur is silk, the textile, very famous for textile and culture, the Vishnupur Gharana of music. Amazing small little time with the treasure of heritage, be it a tangible heritage and an intangible heritage, and of course the temples to explore. This is Vishnupur. And of course, one very interesting region is called the Little Europe in Bengal. You must be wondering what exactly is Little Europe in Bengal. Let me tell you, in early 17th century, the European, they started coming here. This region was very rich in pottery, spices, indigo, jewelry, cotton. So the European, they start coming here and set up trading post to buy these things, to take that back to Europe. The first European colony to obtain permission to set up a trading post was in Bandel. There's a city called Bandel. That was those are Portuguese, and followed by Dutch in the Chuchura and Danish in Srirampur and French in Chandanagar. This is the picture from Chandanagar, and of course, finally, British in in Kolkata. So this entire cluster of colonies is very in a very close proximity from Kolkata, and you can go and explore that in a day and come back, or you can stay. In fact, Srirampur, we have some very interesting experiential stays and heritage stays like Denmark Travel, which is in Srirampur. which is perhaps the world oldest hotel that exists and now been managed by Park Hotels. So amazing journey across this region to explore the architectural heritage and of course cultural heritage all across this region. And finally in Kolkata in 1690, one British tradesman called George Charnock first arrived in the bank of River Ganges in a village called Sutanoti and started a trade post. That was the first British trade post, and finally that became the powerhouse of, they used to, the British East India Company used to rule the entire India from Kolkata. So Calcutta is an amazing city. Most of the people think that Calcutta is just a transit city to come and stay or as a business city. It's not actually. It's the cultural capital of Bengal. The people life, the heritage, the architectural heritage in Calcutta, it's amazing, that we can see. And there are a lot of activities that we can do in Calcutta. Story walk and city walk tours are now very famous in Calcutta. So we have heritage building walk tours, Cantilever Bridge walk tour, flower market tours, book market tours, world's largest street market tours. So different type of tours are there. You can always, have a cruise on river Ganges and experience the river life, because Ganges is very important river for all of us in here in Bengal, and Ganges I've already explained. And of course, we have a double-decker bus which has been introduced recently by West Bengal Tourism to do this heritage tours in the city of Calcutta. So lot of interesting, activities that can be done in Calcutta. It's not just a overnight stay, overnight in a city to stay overnight, but you can stay at around 3 or 4 nights in the city to experience as many activity as possible. People, life of culture, everything around Calcutta is amazing. So this is Victoria Memorial. It was built in 1904 by George IV in the memory of Queen Victoria. And of course, time machine. These are actually trams we can see in the streets of Calcutta. These are actually trams, which is, Calcutta tramway is basically Asia's oldest tramway. And we still have trams which are actually 70 years old that we call a time machine. A tram ride and a heritage tram ride is really an interesting experience in Calcutta to explore. So this is, ladies and gentlemen, Calcutta is all about. I believe Calcutta perhaps the most interesting destination to explore in the entire region. And while I speak, don't forget to look at the map. The triangle is coming down, so we are almost at the end of our journey. And I have to say about the festivals in Calcutta. The Great Autumn Festival, the biggest carnival of on this art, is Durga Puja. If you have not seen Durga Puja, you have actually missed something very important in life. You have to come and see that how an entire city becomes an open art gallery. It's an amazing, example of craftsmanship. There are almost 2,500, community pujas in Calcutta, and altogether there are household pujas. So visiting Calcutta during Durga Puja, it is actually a lifetime experience. So unfortunately, we are going through a crisis situation due to this pandemic. Last year, we had a very, I have not seen such, kind of moderate puja in my life. And this year, we are keeping our fingers crossed. I hope and believe that, everything will be normal by October. So, again, going to have an amazing, festival this year. So do come and visit Calcutta during the festival and see that amazing cultural tradition that we carry forward since, decades. And of course, the village life experience in Bengal, villages are very vibrant, and there are a lot of villages. In fact, what happened due to this pandemic, we have started exploring the possibilities nearby. So the nearby cities become the primary source market for the nearby destinations. And the India Tourism Calcutta also organized one campaign for focusing on the cultural tourism hub all across Bengal. And each of these villages, that comes along with their unique tradition, culture, and art, performing art or handicraft. And this is a wonderful, experience somebody can explore. This is the picture I have taken in Amadpur, a few years back. And you must be thinking that why this facade, and I'm talking about villages. So as I've told you, there are 53 heritage palaces, Rajbadis in all across Bengal, and then most of the Bengal villages somehow, I will not say all, but most of the Bengal are associated with the Rajbadi or the palace like this. This is a Durga Mandap in Amadpur Rajbadi, Amadpur village, which is a few hundred kilometers from Calcutta, close to the city of Bardhaman. So, village life experience is definitely one of the most interesting activity that can be, that we can offer in Bengal. If you have not seen a if you have not seen a village in Bengal, you actually miss something very important. And finally, the world largest delta of mangrove forest. I have told you that we have two World Heritage sites in West Bengal and in this region. One is the toy train, the Darjeeling Himalayan Railways, and the second is the Sundarban. It is the world largest delta of mangrove forest, 2,684 square kilometers of mangrove, uh, to almost 200 tigers, 104 islands crisscrossed by thousands of river branches. It's a natural river system. If you have not seen Sundarban, don't think it's a national park. That's why I've told you that there are some amazing national park and wildlife sanctuaries in East. And this is cities. You cannot walk down or take a jeep safari inside the park. You can actually have to explore the entire park on a boat. I have again a small video to exactly give you an idea about how Sundarban is. We run a small ecotourism project. I will talk about that after this video is over. This is the low tide and high tide. Have to be actually taken out. Of the people so it's an amazing experience in Sundarban, 104 islands, the river life, the people, the village life experience. As I've told you, the majority of the people, honey collecting, wood cutting, and fishing is the primary occupation or the source of livelihood. And we are doing, the tourism is coming up in a big way in Sundarbans. Of course, responsible tourism, because sustainability is a very important factor in a destination like Sundarban. We are associated with a community tourism initiative called Tora Eco Resort and Life Experience Center, which is a eco-village tourism project. We offer accommodation in mud huts and give you an opportunity to explore the, this World Heritage site. So that is the, that is what we have here. Thank you very much for staying with us. As I have told you, I represent Impression Tourism Services, which is a responsible destination management company focused on sustainable tourism practices and fair trade policy. We are offering handcrafted experiences all across Eastern South Asia, that is Eastern India and the Sub-Himalayan Eastern Neighbors of Bhutan and Bangladesh. For any information, any ideas, please do get in touch with me. My email number and mobile number is there. Thank you very much for watching, and I wish you a wonderful journey from the mountains of Himalayas to the mangroves of Sundarban in the near future as you remain. Thank you.
Okay, Debjit, I am going to try and come in
Yes, please, ma'am.
for a very quick. I was actually busy with something else, but I could not resist because so many lovely, lovely pictures. And I started getting comments on the side that how soon can people start to travel in, well, I guess these are difficult times, so we have to wait for travel to really begin very briskly. But in terms of the homestays, and the question that people have asked is that most people, do they know the protocols, particularly in the times of COVID? You mentioned about the workshop that happened in Darjeeling that was taken up by the regional director, East, Mr. Chaudhary himself, in fact, a hugely successful workshop. But how do we, sort of make further sure that the protocols are really kept in mind?
Madam, that clinically fit service was the first priority for the industry since day one when we have this pandemic, because revival was important, and we realized that people are looking for sanitized, clean, and clinically fit accommodation and service providers. So we have a lot of workshop, online workshop. Ministry of Tourism, Government of India, India Tourism, Calcutta, they have done a lot of online workshop. I was personally associated with that. Even in the beginning of March, we have done skill development program in Sundarbans for the hotels, lodges, and homestay operators. Almost 100 operators were there. So this initiative started since the beginning of this pandemic, and through online, directly at the spot. So this has been going on because it was a question of survival. So the demand is for clinically fit service, and industry needs to ensure clinically fit services. So I can assure all my viewers, everybody, that every single homestay operators, lodges, and hotels, they know the difference between cleaning and sanitizing, and they are ready to welcome. Once this crisis is over, they are actually ready to welcome you with absolutely 100% clinically fit service.
So that sounds very, very reassuring. And I'm sure that'll reassure a lot of our viewers. And that's an important message that we want to share with all of you viewers, that while we definitely need to be careful in these times, keep wearing the mask, keep the distancing and everything that needs to be done. However, all the hospitality units are understanding the responsibility in making sure that the protocols are respected. The other question, Debjit, a lot of people were asking about was around the trekking, that if they go trekking, what are the kind of stay options that they would have? On the tea plantations, the question that is coming is that what kind of tours are normally taken up? So one is staying in the bungalow, but do they actually go for tea tasting? What all really happens?
Thank you, madam. Very important question. First of all, trekking. We have lovely trekker huts, and we also have tents for the travelers. So we prefer trekker huts because that's more sustainable, mode of accommodation. And as we have discussed that we had the skill development program organized for at Darjeeling. I think all the trekker hut owners in Darjeeling Hills and Sikkim also, I think they have their own skill development program, and they are actually managing travelers for a very long time. Very nice basic accommodation they provide, And recently, all the skill development program, they are absolutely safe and nice place to stay. That much I can assure. In fact, I can share one, one information that I was doing a study because I had some request from High Commission of Australia. We have operated more than 600 Australian, students staying on those trekkers huts in Darjeeling. So absolutely fine. I believe this is one of the most interesting trekking routes in Eastern India. I request people to come, explore, and travel up to Sandakpur. Regarding tea garden, we have right now six gardens who are actually providing accommodation to the tourists. So Glenburn, Badi Digi is in Doers. This one tea garden in Temi. This is the only tea garden in Sikkim. There's a interest, very nice accommodation which is they're providing. Most of them are luxurious, the upmarket customers. So even in the tea gardens, they are also equally concerned about cleanliness, hygiene, and sanitation. So absolutely nice place to stay. And regarding activities, always stay comes along with a lot of activities like visiting the factory, taking part in the tea tasting session, visiting the plantation, and all this jeep safari, and then excursion nearby. One very interesting fact about the tea gardens, that when the East India Company started this plantation in Darjeeling Himalayas, they brought all these laborers from neighboring state like Bihar, Odisha, and all the neighboring state. They actually got these laborers. Now they have been staying there for since generations, and they grew up a mixed culture. So that's a very amazing thing to explore, I think, in any of the garden. And every tea garden stay is definitely associated with the activity in terms of tea plantation. So definitely, if you are not staying in a tea bungalow and experiencing the champagne of tea, that is how world knows Darjeeling tea. That's the most interesting experience. Thank you, madam.
So other question, and that question will go for you also, Debjit, and also for Sarnik, that you showed us a lot about the baris, the heritage bungalows, the old zamindar homes that have been restored. So how does one access them? And again, do they come with their own storytelling? Or, is there a whole trail? I know you are going to tell us one part, and I'm going to ask Sagnik after you share with us as to what all Sagnik has been doing in that area.
So we have Mr. Chaudhary and us. We have done two wonderful webinars actually in the recent past, last year. We have done one on the heritage stays in Bengal, relive the bygone era, and another one, the heritage tea trails. Now, in both the webinars, we actually have the owners come and share their experiences. What I find is all those, we have almost six heritage stays in South Bengal, and six tea garden, bungalows in North Bengal. These all property owners are very passionate about tourism, and they are actually they themselves associated with the operations and everything. So they ensure that every client, every traveler go back with a memorable experience in terms of all those activities that they offer. I think Mr. Chaudhary can enlighten us more on this.
Yes, indeed. Each of these heritage stays, heritage properties have their own little way of telling their guests the stories from the days bygone. Some have so much to do with the days of the Raj. There's in fact what is called a Neel Kothi, what was an indigo koti, so those are heritage stays from the 18th century, as long back as the 1700s. So there's a different feel altogether in those properties. Now, when we planned our Incredible India weekend getaways, the South Bengal part of the campaign, a large focus of it was on the district of Murshidabad. And I'm happy to share with all our viewers that we actually noticed that the occupancy in the hotels, and I'm not talking about the homestays in the villages in which we did the campaign, I'm talking about the hotels in nearby towns, including Murshidabad, actually registered at a whopping 90% during those 1.5 months. So, yes, definitely we have given a lot of visibility. These hotels included the heritage stays that we just spoke about. So, yes, indeed, there has been a great knowledge sharing with the tourists, and we are trying to promote it across various levels. Bengal, like Mr. Datta said a while back, is second to neither Rajasthan nor Gujarat in terms of heritage stays, in terms of palaces, in terms of mahals. But unfortunately, the same has not been projected the way some of the other states have been successful in projecting them. So our effort is to actually bring these to the fore, to bring the heritage of Bengal to the fore. We have curated a circuit which is almost a 200-250 kilometer circuit connecting from the northern part of Bengal down to the southern part, and there are 8 to 9 of these heritage stays along that circuit. So any interested tourist can actually get in touch with any of our approved tour operators who all have this information, and they can actually live that experience. So far we have done this, and we plan to do more in the very near future, ma'am.
Yeah, Sagnik, so I'm going to in fact ask you to comment on two more aspects. In fact, if we look at Bengal viewers, as Sagnik rightly said, there is nothing that there is not there. In fact, it has some more unique things because the mangroves in Sundarbans is something so unique to Bengal. We don't get those kind of mangroves, I think, anywhere else in India. We remember that there was a river cruise that happens from Calcutta, and we had done a webinar on that. Also, it would be nice to share some of it with the viewers because some may not have logged in at that point, and that's a very different experience. And how you actually see Ganga, the way it flows, and then you get into the mangroves, and also the whole narrative that you have tried to work on in terms of the rural Bengal. And in January, it was a matter of great pride for us that one of the Pattachitras in one of the events that you did in rural Bengal actually sold for 2 lakh for a local artisan. And in fact, the Honorable Prime Minister himself in his Man Ki Baat on 31st January made a mention of that. And so that tells us the kind of potential there is and how we need to, you rightly said, it hasn't been showcased enough. So can you just, share your experiences, Sagnik, with the viewers on both the river cruise experience as well as the potential of the local arts and crafts and music, the ball form of music that Bengal is so famous for?
Absolutely, ma'am. Absolutely. So, first about the river cruise. So, we got a lot of questions like from where to where does the cruise go? So, the cruise can actually go wherever the river flows, right? So, the cruise can actually cover the entire circuit right from Murshidabad down to Kolkata, onward and westwards towards Banaras, or eastwards all the way to Odisha, to the Bay of Bengal. So the cruise that we are talking about here, the Bengal Ganga Voyager is the name of the vessel. Now these are high-end luxury cruises which cover usually pre-decided destinations such as Mayapur, Naboddip, and also sometimes all the way up northwards to Murshidabad. Now, on the way, the cruise stops at certain places like Kalna, etc., and there's an exploration done of the local heritage. The tourists, the passengers in the cruise, they are given a taste of the local culture, the local cuisine, and the cruise can sail at all times, at all times of the day. So indeed, it's a very niche product, and ma'am, if you permit, I would in the near future want to do a webinar on this very platform where I can bring a presentation from the cruise owners themselves. So that
Absolutely, absolutely, Sagnik. It's a matter of great pride, in fact, for us as Indians, that within India, we not only have such amazing natural products, if we see the mountains or the rivers or the mangrove swamps, the desert, the salt pans, but that people have actually worked to make those accessible for all of us as tourists. So we must definitely encourage people who are doing such human service to the whole industry of tourism. Absolutely.
and
Madam, if you may kindly allow me to speak about, actually, I actually missed out that cruise part. That was the slide was there. There are two cruises which actually, can be operated in Bengal. There's 5 to 6 cruise companies who are operating post pandemic. The heritage cruise, that what I have shown you, Malda, Murshidabad, the Little Europe, Calcutta, that specific, and that can go up to, like, Varanasi, and the heritage Bengal heritage cruise, and the second is Sundarban cruise, which is from Calcutta, between Calcutta to Sundarban. That's normally 3 to 4 nights. And the third cruise which are coming is actually a cruise between Calcutta to northeast, like Guwahati, across Bangladesh. So cross country tourism, cross border tour is among the top experiences that is available in this part of the world. And a cruise between Calcutta to Dhaka and Dhaka to Guwahati and Assam is actually a possibility right now due to the BBIN agreement and Indo-Bangladesh reciprocal waterways and surface transport agreement. So I believe after this pandemic, there's a lot of cruise companies, they already started operating in that route. So cruise on Ganges or river cruising, we have almost 1800 kilometers of cruisable surface, is certainly the one of the best experience one can have. Thank you. Thank you, madam.
No, thanks, Debjit. In fact, we must do a webinar, Sagnik, in times to come on the cruising options, because that's something so interesting. And the way you experience the river and the way you see the whole civilization going along with it, I think it takes you to a very different era. So we definitely must do that. I'm going to ask
one
Agni to step in with the whole potential of rural Bengal, and
yes, ma'am,
that's an
absolutely.
aspect we must focus on.
Before I say something on that, I will hold Mr. Datta to showing us that little figurine of an owl and telling us that there's a story to it. So why don't you tell us that story before we embark on the rural Bengal part? Yes.
So I will. This is the owl of Bengal, and it's wearing a mask actually. So just to,
Oh, so cute. What is the local name?
this is a tradition which has been carried forward for, this is 300 years old tradition. There's a village close to Calcutta near Bardhaman called Nutangram. Now the village is very famous for its wooden dolls, and this is a very auspicious owl. When I was working on almost in 2009, one was working on this Mountains to Mangrove project, the brand campaign. I was looking for an icon to represent the brand. So something I was trying to create one, and this is something in every household in Bengal. Every house you go, you'll get one. It's called Lokhi Pacha, or the vehicle of goddess Lakshmi. So, and then there was that, it was there in one front of me. Then all of a sudden I realized that nothing can be better than this. Unique, stunning, typically represent the state and gives the tangibility to the story what I'm telling. So
Okay.
I have a craftsman from Nutangram called Lakshman Bhaskar, and I got him. I somehow got introduced with him in a trade fair, handicraft fair. And Lakshman, I asked him that, can you make owls for me? And I will be requiring in bulk. So Lakshman said, yes, why not? I will definitely do it for you. And since then, 2009, Lakshman has made almost 3 to 5,000 owls for me. I think it's more than 3,000 owls. And we have a nicely packed, and whoever listen to the story of Mountains to Mangrove get an owl from me. And most of the places all over the world, wherever I go for last many years, I have been known as Owl Man. So even if people don't remember me, but once they say, Acha, you are that Owl Man actually. And this is a very interesting way of positioning the product that we are promoting and selling. So this is the story behind this owl.
So I need my owl soon.
Definitely, madam. I think you already have one when you attended IDO convention that was there in the kit. You have carried it or not, I'm not sure.
Yes,
But
yes.
yes, I will definitely send
Thank
you
you.
a set of owls. And of course, whoever coming up with the right answer and getting a set of picture postcard and a owl from me.
How wonderful. I'm going to say thanks to you, Debjit, and I'm going to run off to do what I was doing. And I'm going to let Sagnik, you're going to talk about rural Bengal, and also you'll be closing because we're getting near 12 noon. But thank you, Debjit, for joining our journey of Dekho Apna Desh today.
Thank you.
Sagnik.
Thank you. Thanks for the opportunity.
Thank you, ma'am. Very quickly, viewers, I'll, in a nutshell, try and tell you about what we did starting the last weekend of December 2020 and through the month of January this year. We actually have always known that there's tremendous intangible cultural heritage all over the state of West Bengal. However, that cultural heritage perhaps has not been, shared as a product or showcased enough to our urban populace. So we made an effort of creating weekend destinations at the various villages in which these performers or artisans actually stay, they live. And for example, there's a village in West Midnapur district of West Bengal, which is called Pingla. Now, Pingla is very famous for a craft called Potochitro or Patachitra, in which they use organic chemicals, organic paints, organic brushes to make these beautiful paintings that are also on an organic surface. They can be on any surface, but they are usually traditionally on an organic surface like a canvas or a surface made of leaf. Similarly, there's a village in Purulia district called Chodida, which is very famous for its mask making. Um, Joydev Kenduli is the name of a village in Birbhum district, which is the cradle of Baul music in India, the Baul cult. Sundarbans has its own culture. They have something like a theatrical rendition, which is called a Bonbibir Pala. There's a very powerful theatric expression in village theaters in a village called Tepantor in Paschim Bardhaman, West Bardhaman district. Murshidabad, or for that matter, the Chau village of Balrampur in Purulia, or like Mr. Datta in his presentation spoke about Bikna, which is famous for its dokra and terracotta art. That's in Bakuda district. So traditionally, there has been so much of intangible cultural heritage around us all this while. Unfortunately, we have not been able to showcase them enough. So our idea or our endeavor was to actually showcase them to the tourists. So we curated these events in which these artisans, these craftsmen, these performers would actually perform in pre-identified slots, and people from the cities nearby could actually drive down for a couple of days during the weekend and stay at those locations in hotels or in homestays and actually be a part of those workshops, be a part of those performances, and buy indigenous arts and crafts from the local villages. That actually turned out to be a stupendous success, and people made a sale of close to 1.6 crores during those 4 weekends. Like I shared with you a while back, occupancies in hotels around the area went up hugely. So it was a great success, and we aim at replicating this effort this year as well. Uh, Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much for being a part of this webinar. Thank you so much, Mr. Debjit Datta, for sharing with us a very photogenic, beautiful presentation, from the mountains to the mangroves, journey of 1,000 kilometers. The journey doesn't end at 1,000 kilometers. India is a very vast and diverse land, and we promise to take you on another journey, another scintillating journey in our next episode. Till then, uh, thank you so much. Please stay safe. Please stay indoors. Uh, देखते और दिखाते रहिए अपना सुंदर अतुल्य भारत. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you very much.